Hello and welcome to our show. This is Analytic Energy Agency, our YouTube channel, and we are back with our English-speaking reviews. And today we continue our observation of what is going on in Russia and Kazakhstan, some other countries probably. We just want to share some thoughts on what is going on in power sector and also with regard to geopolitics. In our English language broadcasting, because we do these kind of things, as you know, every like 2-3 weeks. And last time it was end of January. Today is 22nd of February, and let's see what is happening in our countries. But first of all, of course, I want to share my thoughts on these geopolitical events which are underway right now. As you know, there are some hopes that all those stressful things and all those events which brought us to the point of actually close to the nuclear war, World War III, they are probably subside, and in terms of there is some hope that there's beginning of the Russian-American negotiations, which took place in Riyadh recently, and also the telephone calls between the President of Russia and the United States. They give us, opportunity to get out of the situation the world plunged in 2022, actually even before that, in 2021, I think. And of course, it influences also our industry, the power sector, because everything is intertwined and interdependent in this world. And if we look at the events which are taking place in Russia, and they in January and end of January and the beginning of this month, February, we still have that kind of stalemate in the investment process, because inflation is still high. Bank rate is 21%, and central bank, and the loans are very expensive, and at the same time, as we know, there is a huge challenge which Russia faces in terms of needs to invest into the power sector, because Russia has adopted a plan for it's called General Scheme of for power sector development up to 2042, and it requires about 40 plus trillion of rubles. If you divide it by 100, you get it in dollars or euros. That's a huge amount of money, and it requires already to find a way how to invest for investors, for power sector operators, for the government. But so far, there is a discussion there, and it took place last week. It was a Russian Business Week, so-called, where big business has discussed the developments of Russian economy, and in particular, it was a discussion with regard to investment in power sector. As you know, the power sector, of course, is very important because it's a base of economy, and whatever we can say about that, it's kind of this Soviet times, this narrative that it's a basis for economy and it should provide with cheap electricity. It's not the case anymore. It's an industry which is intertwined with other industries and with other economy sectors of other sectors of economy. But without development, without these investments, without covering the increasing demand of in electricity, and it's a situation which takes place all around the world. Of course, it's impossible to have normal consequential development of economy as a whole. As you know, the, actually we are at kind of crossroads, at fork, where we have to take a decision in Russia where to go, because more and more voices are being heard that it's better to just return to some kind of administrative command economy, which was used in the Soviet Union times, and because they refer to the success of Soviet Union at that time when they invested in back in 60s, so 50s, 60s, 70s, mostly first half of 80s of last century. All this industry, all those power stations, power lines, and all the infrastructure was built at that time. Except of like 30, 35 gigawatts of power, which was built in post-Soviet times in Russia, out of 260, roughly 260 gigawatts available installed capacity. And also they refer to the experience of China, because China is very successful in development of their power industry. But at the same time, it's obvious for those who run Russian economy, for this kind of liberal wing of the government, that of course, if you have a market economy, you cannot have this kind of administrative industry in the power sector. But the question is how to do that, how to to combine all those interests, and to find a solution, to find a balance between the interests of the industries, the economy as a whole, and the interests of power sector, because everything is getting more expensive. Machinery, all those services, construction and everything, but the power prices, they're still at quite low level in Russia. If we compare it to that, by the way, with Kazakhstan, we will see that Russian prices are actually lower at the wholesale level, and we, in our Russian-speaking observation, we already many times gave that picture, because the thing is, for instance, here, if we open this one. Здравствуйте, меня зовут Алексей Преснов. Это one of our, yeah, I just want to show you the map. It's one of our broadcasts. And you see the prices here, it's they had prices including balancing prices in Russian Federation. It's one of these February days, quite recently, and we see that prices are it's in rubles here. It's they're around 1.5 rubles in cheapest regions, about 2 rubles per kilowatt hour. So slightly higher than 2 rubles in Siberia, and only in this Far East, which was just linked to the market, to this competitive market on January 1st, 2025, the prices are higher. It's explicable because all those power stations, they're obsolete, and they were not modernized for many years. So that's why the prices are high there. Mostly it's this coal fire power stations which set the price there. But again, it's just it's a price they have market, and plus you have on top of that you have to add about 1.3 rubles, and you get the total price 1.3. It's capacity prices if you just spread it evenly on every hour. But if you look at the Kazakhstani prices, you will see that they are higher. They're 22, 23. Just wholesale prices on the operational market, and plus about two tenge. It's so it's in tenge. It's 22 plus 2 tenge for capacity, and so and they expect, they predict the prices for 2025. The government and the Ministry of Energy of Kazakhstan, they predict that it's going to be around 25 tenge, which divided by 5, you will get 5 rubles. And you cannot see here anywhere, this, even if you just add to those prices 1.3, you cannot see that the prices are up to 5 rubles. So it means that Russian prices are still lowest, and that is also shows the effect of market reform, which took place back in zeros in the beginning of this century, in 2000s, under this now very unpopular figure, Anatoly Chubais leadership. But anyway, it brought some effect there. But if we just look at the investment sector was not constructed well and was not built to the end. It's not a there is not a there is no robust market in this field, and so it needs to be done. And that discussion we are now can see. And for instance, those big businesses on this Russian week, they were they were you know, they were trying to tell us their proposals how to do that, and they are talking about actually to decentralize Russian market, and to give them permission to build their own power stations, some so-called investment agreements, that kind of things. No, it's kind of power purchase agreements they propose to use widely on the Russian market for investment sector. But the problem is that in Russia we have a very centralized and very strictly centralized market, and more strict than its prototype of those prototypes of the Russian market, American markets like PGM, that's like New England, because all those assets, all those resources, which are more than 25 megawatts in capacity, they have to be available on this wholesale market. That's a rule, and therefore, if you have the bigger stations, then you have to be on the centralized market where there are two sectors, so where operational sector and capacity, and it's very difficult if this kind of some kind of plant, some kind of business just builds a power station for itself. It's bigger than 25 megawatts. It means that it should be somehow inserted and coordinated with the work of this rest of the power industry, power sector, and power energy system, and it creates a lot of problems. So what they actually talk about in their proposals are to switch from the centralized model of power, some model of power industry and power market, to decentralized one, like which is actually is used in European countries, but European countries they have some different approach there, because actually it's a kind of self-dispatching capacities, and only those very strong and very I would put it variable, and their instruments exchanges, power exchanges, they attract those participants of the market to trade through their facilities, through the power exchanges. But in general, it's a decentralized markets, and so Russian the businesses, they are trying to tell that if we go that way, it will be cheaper to invest, because the investments will be without those returns, higher returns, which correspond to the current situation with money expensiveness, with the central bank rate and so on. But it's very, I would put it, kind of vague and murky approach, because probably it's interesting from the point of view of operational director, but it's not so obvious from the point of view of actual owners of those assets, because if they can build something with the money right now and to get some return which is higher, because there is as I said, there is a demand of new capacities in the electricity sector. Then, of course, they can make more money if they just build it and sell it not to their own factories and plants or some or other businesses, but just to the system. But this approach, they say that it can save some money and it's not so expensive. We don't need then 40 plus trillion rubles, but much less, like 10 trillions less, for instance. But again, it's to my point of view, it's not, in my opinion, it's not a good idea. Good idea is just to create a even playing field. Not those multiple prices which exist right now on the Russian market, because there are different prices and for new capacities, for modernized capacities, for old capacities on this capacity market. But we need a uniform price, direct competition between old and existing incumbent generation and new ones, all those new projects, investment projects. And of course, the question of high interest rate is just a question of macroeconomy, and therefore they have to be withdrawn from the power market, and should be kind of tax, some kind of adjustment to the payment. Like for instance, they use it in Ontario province in Canada, like a global adjustment payment. That's a way how to get out of this situation, which is difficult. And of course, on the other hand, is we need to decrease inflation, to suppress it, and it very much depends on the geopolitical situation in the world, and that is why we hope that all those recent events in geopolitical landscape probably give us some results. That's about it. What is going on in Russia? If we look at Kazakhstan, in Kazakhstan, they still discuss a lot of things. They discuss how many power plants they will build. They would build in next 10, 15 years, and they already talk about 3 ones. Actually, it's first one they meant. It's 2 reactors, like 1.2 gigawatts, Russian design. So it's 2.4. It's it's one is certain, and they have already determined where it's going to be built. On this Lake Balkhash, they call it Lake Balkhash. It's in between northern Kazakhstan and southern one. The southern one, they need a lot of electricity there. There's a lack of electricity deficit. And in the north, they have some profit, and they want to build in between this power station, first one. But okay, let us say it will cost like $20 billion, 25 probably, and it will take, I think it's 10, 15 years to build. But now they're talking about two more stations. But the question is not answered where they get money from. It seems to me that this question is some kind of sideline that put aside, and they always think about some financing from those providers of these power stations, but it's not the case. If you look at the situation long term, of course, they have to anyway, even if they're provided with some financing and external financing. I mean, from those Rosatom or for whatever Chinese corporation. They will need to return their money, and that will increase the electricity price, which is already higher than in Russia. And again, they are going to build within the next 5 years, not to build, but to commit, to commission actually to they committed to just to put online like 7.3 gigawatts of electricity. It includes also some those projects of uh, wind power and solar power provided by some again foreign investors. Mostly they are from this Middle East and China, and one of them is also from France, Total Energy. But again, it's a very high amount, and we explained already that in our Russian podcasts, Russian language podcasts, that it will increase in absence of absence of the this very this kind of efficient mechanism, like efficient competitive market. It will increase, it will elevate the tariffs and this rates for electricity like 3-4 times comparing to these current ones. And of course, it's unacceptable politically, socially, and it just won't happen. And we tell them that the first thing they need to get into is to start creating competitive, solid, robust, competitive market in the industry. But so far, it's not the case. So far, we're just discussing with those who are probably interested in those kind of development, and those are this kind of middle business, middle scale business. Because the thing is, which aggravates the situation in Kazakhstan, that the bigger business, like bigger corporations, they have several of them, and mineral resources, also this coal production and so on. They have their own generation, and they are excluded from those constructions of operational market, which they use as so-called single buyer model, and they are just work on their own with their own power stations. But time to time, when they need electricity, when they have some repairments or outages of their own capacities, they just go to this centralized market and make a bid there, and they increase the prices for everyone, because the prices spread evenly throughout the country. That is what is going on in Kazakhstan. So we are trying to kind of aggregate this, for this middle scale business and small scale business probably, and to create some kind of association, and to have some kind of enlightenment for them, what a competitive market is, how it works, and then to promote their interests in their in the government and in the industry, and to kind of push the government to start this kind of work with the creation power market, competitive power market in Kazakhstan. That's what I wanted to discuss with you today. Please sign up for our Telegram. Also, we have, but it is in Russian so far. But also, just go to our to site, and there's as I said, it's English interface there, so we can find some interesting materials there, and we're trying to do our best to to inform you what is going on in Russia, Kazakhstan, and some other post-Soviet countries. Thank you for your attention, and goodbye. Take care.